We are pleased to be joined over the phone here by a guest. Cory Hepola is here with us to talk about some time that he spent in Fairmont recently. Cory, thanks so much for making the time to chat with us this morning.
Absolutely, Dan. Great. Thanks for having me.
It was great to meet you this last Saturday at Fairmont High School. You did a presentation, a little preview of a YouTube show that you have coming out here on Sunday. And we'll get to that in just a moment. But first, for folks that may not know, perhaps you recognize Cory from time on TV at like WCCO and Care 11. You did TV news for how long?
Yeah, a long time. A long time. No, so I grew up in western Minnesota. I grew up in Perham, so small town around Detroit Lakes, about an hour east of Fargo. And I mean, I had the dream of getting to Minneapolis and being that TV news anchor ever since I can remember, since I was 8 years old. And so really thankful. The journey was not a straight shot, though. I worked in Fargo, I worked in Montana and in New York and in Texas and in D.C. and finally made it back home to Minneapolis, in Minnesota here, in 2015. So yeah, I did broadcast journalism for a very long time.
And in that time, obviously, you learned how to meet people and chat with people, and that's the one thing that I really noticed about the episodes of this series that I've watched that you're doing now, is that you are very good at listening and getting people's stories out, and we're very excited to have you tell the story of Fairmont and a few of the folks that are here.
Yeah, well, thank you. I think, as you get older, you start to recognize, what you're passionate about and what you're excited about, and then also what you're good at and what you've spent your whole life doing. And I mean, I just love people. I love meeting people. I love hearing their stories. I love hearing how, where they're from and their upbringing and how that impacted them. And even when I was working in television and in radio for all those years, that was the thing that always drove me, was like trying to understand, people's passions and their gifts. And so, yeah, I'm so thankful that I'm able to do that for a living now as we tell these stories for my town. The
one that I remember from when I was a little kid was Charles Kuralt. You'd see him on TV traveling all over the country in his Winnebago, and I always really thought those were cool. And now it's Steve Hartman who gets to do that on CBS News, and he does a great job with the stories. And you've kind of found a way to do this in like an episode format, and it's really taken off for you, hasn't it?
It has, and I'd throw in another name too. And I was blessed to be able to work with him. But Boyd Hooper at Care 11 is just the best there is, and also as good as he is as a professional, even better person. So I was fortunate to even just learn so much from him, working closely with him. But so where my town is our documentary series, and we launched it based on a mission, and it's a mission to help communities tell their stories, but also to break down those popular misconceptions with small town living, showing why talented people choose to live in small towns. And it really is based on my life and my experience, growing up in rural Otter Tail County, Minnesota, dreams of living and working in the city, was fortunate enough to be able to do that. But Dan, as we get older, like our lives, we start to have different perspectives on things, and we start to look at life a little bit differently. And that's kind of what happened for me, turning 40 something and a wife and 3 kids. I started looking back at where I grew up and, wondered, why was I in such a hurry to leave this place? And it also just kind of coincides with the global stereotypes of what small town living is. It's not hard to, kind of discover what those are. Those are negative. Like, small towns are always perceived as negative. Whether it's small towns are dying or there's nothing there for you, dreams go to die there. And so that just doesn't match the reality of my hometown or any of the hometowns we small towns that we've been in. And so that's why we launched My Town, was to help communities tell the truth. Tell the authentic truth about why all these talented people who could live anywhere, large city, any country, any state, but they choose Fairmont, Minnesota. And so that's that was our purpose, is we wanted to help communities and the people living there tell their stories.
Yeah, we don't all have the same politics. We all don't do the same job. We all, have different interests and whatnot. But the ability to do that where you're able to have a more direct connection with people, and that's the reason I've loved living here for 27 years, is you feel like you're making an impact when it's a smaller group like this, rather than, if you're in a place with millions of people, you kind of wonder if you are just lost in the shuffle and you're just kind of floating around out there.
Well, and that's such a great point, because you think about since the pandemic specifically. Now, okay, for one, rural counties, although it's been deemed that they've been dying for decades. The reason we launched My Town was out of curiosity. Well, why does everyone always say that when it doesn't match the data? Mm-hmm. Rural counties have been growing at an 11% rate since 1970. So they've never stopped growing. But now, since the pandemic, more and more young people are choosing to live in small towns at the highest rates we've ever seen. And the number one thing they're after, millennials and Gen Zers, they're after quality of life. Right. And nobody offers that better than Fairmont, Minnesota. And so that's sort of what we are finding, is that there's all these people that are choosing rural counties, choosing small towns, and it's because of what you just said. It's because, look, I can make a difference here. I can be on the school board. I can be on the church council. Also look at the school system that Fairmont has. Like, that is a district that sets kids up to succeed in whatever they choose to do, and it's such a high performing school. So young people are choosing regions and small towns because of the schools and safety and quality of life and innovation that is happening there too.
You did talk a little bit about the school, and you talked with a couple of other local families and businesses. Tell our listeners about your experience with those folks.
Yeah, we go to the school and we meet with Andy Trado, who is the superintendent. Grew up in southern Minnesota, but not in Fairmont, and then was and I'm not exaggerating, Hall of Fame football player at Gustavus, and then his wife, is also a teacher and was looking for a place in southern Minnesota on where they could establish their family and raise their kids, and they chose Fairmont. And that's another thing too. We always use the word, small towns are never perceived from the outside as a choice. You think about you think about pop culture and all the movies and TV shows set in a small town. It was never a choice. It was somebody who couldn't quite make it in the city. And so we turn that narrative on its head and say, no, this is a choice. And you look at Andy and his wife and their family, they choose Fairmont. And there's power in that word choice. So Andy shows us around the school, and I kind of ask him, well, how is this such a high performing school? You guys are winning state level competition in sports and in the arts and in robotics, and not only that, academically, you're setting kids up for a bright future. And so that's one of the main focuses in the episode. And we also, we meet with Wayne and Char Kaler. So Wayne shows us some of the innovation that he has created at Kaler Automation over the years, and Char, who is an amazing spirit and so critical in the art scene there in Fairmont, which another thing you don't totally associate with small towns is this art scene, which Fairmont has on display, whether it's the murals or the hogs downtown.
Yeah, the hog statues has been a big hit with lots of folks, and it's great to give people a little incentive to look around and see. Not only when they're finding the hog statues, they also find, I think, some other neat things too. Yeah. And talking about hogs, you had a chance to do a hands-on experience with that too.
Yeah, and that was one of the another driving force for us to come to visit Fairmont was. It's the bacon capital of the United States. And not only that, very proud to be the bacon capital of the United States. Martin County is the top 5 pork producing county in the entire country. And so, just being able to see what that does, not only for the community, but the county itself and the ecosystem that has helped provide this bright future here And so being able to go to Hugoson Pork with Angie, Toothaker, she's showing us around, and I mean, I'm an idiot. I had no idea. And that's a part of the fun too, because the audience goes through this experience with me. I'm going into this eyes wide open. I didn't know that there was so much science involved, and it's such a clean process that you have to sanitize when you go into a hog farm. No idea. So we really take the viewer behind the scenes on what it's like there at Hugoson Pork and at the really all the farms there in the county.
Was that the first time you've ever appeared on screen with your hair messed up? I'm very particular about that, and yes, I think it probably is if I go back in my time. I think so. One of the TV people I've known all over the years have all had fantastic hair. I don't. I'm bald, so I probably wouldn't have made it on screen. But you did you were a very good sport about that, and it was definitely a learning experience, wasn't it?
It was. We had to sanitize everything going into one of the buildings there, and then that's the thing is like you go in, you shower, and so we had to sanitize our cameras and our phones, and so I had to have my iPhone in the shower. I mean, it's edited, right? Like you only show so much, but so and then we're in, and we get to see from moms, mom hogs gestating to the wean to finish barn. It's quite the process, and something that, I mean, I grew up around agriculture, but I think a lot of people don't really understand what happens or where their food comes from, and so that's a part of the magic, is being able to show, hey, this is what's happening in these high performing towns and counties across the country.
So we've got a really good idea of what the episode is all about. I think folks are going to be amazed by the cinematography, if you will, the images, the way it's all captured is really fantastic. So you had a great crew doing that, and you can all see it on Sunday night.
That's right, Sunday night, 6:30. Everybody can subscribe, like, comment, share it, and it's on YouTube. My Town series, you'll see the image right there at the top, bacon capital of the United States. Cory comes clean in the bacon capital of the United States. So yeah, please join the online watch party. We're all going to be watching from home, but that's a perfect place to watch in the comfort of your warm home, Sunday night, 6:30.
And it's important that a lot of people watch that, because that helps the algorithm. You were explaining it to me. It gets kicked to more people if it has a big debut.
It does, yeah. So thanks for sharing that, Dan, because that's very true. Like, YouTube then recognizes, oh, this is something that's important, and so then it ushers it off to more and more people right out of the gate, and that's so helpful too. So would love people to stream on multiple devices. That would be great too. But on Sunday at 6:30.
All right, Cory Hepola is the host of My Town, and it debuts Sunday night at 6:30 on YouTube. Cory, it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope I can get to Perham sometime, because I love Wiley Wallaby licorice.
Yeah.
I remember you did your, I think, first episode about your hometown, and it was really, really neat to catch that. And also really good memories of Fairmont beating Perham in the state football semifinals in 2018.
I know. We're still salty about that one. But
I got all my highlight calls, all my touchdown highlight calls from that game saved. So.
Such a good program you guys have. But I'll just end by saying, too, Dan, thank you so much for having me, and thank you to the entire community for welcoming us and showing us around and showing why you're so proud of the community, and that's what we want to showcase. So I hope everyone loves the episode, and thanks so much for just opening up your arms for us.
You bet, and thanks for taking the time to chat with us.
Thanks, Dan.
You betcha. You're welcome anytime. Cory Hepola joining us here on 106.5 Lakes FM. And again, the big show is Sunday night beginning at 6:30 on that YouTube channel. We'll be back with more of the greatest hits coming your way next on Lakes FM.